What's happening? I'm Von Monroe.
And I'm Lee Bay.
Welcome to another installment of Real Soul. Today we're going to talk about film noir.
Now this is a little complicated to explain because this is a stylistic piece of film, genre of film. Kind of begins in the 40s and usually there's shadows and darkness and kind of carries on through the 50s. And then it gets revived several times throughout the decade.
Yeah, it's revived as neo-noir, but to go back to the original explanation, actually it was this form of film that the French discovered, which is why it's called film noir. And it means literally dark film. In the aftermath of World War II, you know, people's lives were affected by the aftermath of the war. Part of that was that there was this increased distrust of the government, and it began to seep into the films as a form of like cynicism and pessimism. It also gave rise to the femme fatale, who I think is the most interesting character in American history, and that was the woman who used her beauty and her brains and her sexuality to move ahead in society.
Well, I was going to do this myself, but paint me, Chris. They'll be masterpieces.
My choice for a film noir is a film directed by Bill Duke called A Rage in Harlem. And it comes from a novel that was written by Chester Himes. And you know, I remember when they decided they were going to make that film, it was a big deal because actually at that time they were kind of jonesing and trying to make some black movies in Hollywood for a change. When that came out, every black actress in Hollywood was like, I want to do this, I want to be in this film. And Bill Duke ended up casting Robin Givens in the film, and everyone was flabbergasted that, well, that was before Mike Tyson. It turned out that Robin Givens might be the ultimate femme fatale.
Right.
But before that, she was considered pretty much an unknown. And Bill Duke took a big chance giving her a role in the film. But we're not even going to talk about them. We're actually going to focus on something else in the clip.
Indeed.
You ain't said 5 decent words to me in 5 years, and now just because you need something.
That's right, I need you to help me find my woman, Sherman.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Help yourself, man. Here's some tickets to heaven.
You
ain't preaching there. You gonna run me down? A man on the cross? Cornflake eat my foot.
Gotta help me, Sherman. You're my brother.
Forget
We're blood.
No!
There's gold. There's a trunk full of gold.
You say there's a trunk full of gold?
You ain't never gonna change.
No. No, I ain't never gonna change. Come here for a second. Shit.
And then they put the money in the stove, and the stove blew up,
and the marshal ran in, and blip-blop-de-blang.
How you know that?
My very own brother taken in by the blow.
But there was $100 came out of that stove.
Oh, man, what's the matter with you? Where's your fucking brain, huh? You been drinking embalming fluid or some shit? You been suckered, and your gal run off with the stud that took your money.
She didn't run off. They took her, Sherman. And she's in trouble, too. I know it. I could feel her.
She's in trouble? You the one's in trouble, Mr. Church-going man. Shit, you just robbed your own boss.
You motherfuckers got a cigarette?
No, we ain't got no cigarette.
Listen, I'll help you get your woman back. First we call Kathy, then we go see Blind. But I keep the gold, you understand? You get the woman, I get the gold. Woman, gold. Strictly business. Got it?
Got it.
All right.
You motherfuckers is in my way. Give me your money.
And don't think I wouldn't cut you, Reverend.
Have mercy, son. You lucky I got my reverend shit on, otherwise I'd blow your fucking lips off. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going.
I can't believe that. Man tried to stick up a preacher.
So we got a deal, bros?
I just want to get her back, Sherman. I don't care nothing about no gold.
Come with me, chump. And stop calling me Sherman.
That's a great scene, and it just reminds me of how much I terribly miss Gregory Hines, who always was, you know, smart and just a little bit ahead of the game in almost all the roles he played, and certainly in this one, he certainly is. Now, you know, movie fans might remember that that the work of Chester Himes was mined for at least 2 other movies, which was the Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones movies, Cotton Comes to Harlem first, and then the sequel, Come Back Charleston Blue.
Yeah.
And in fact, Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones, obviously played by different characters, make an appearance in this.
They do.
But they're lesser characters. I mean, they sort of come in as flavor. The movie isn't about them as much as it is about the caper. Almost capturing a little bit more of the flavor of the books, which was almost equally about the caper as well as it was about Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones. But Bill Duke does a great job of just sort of capturing the times and the clothes and the sort of pattern back and forth. It's a good film.
Yeah, another one of the things that's sort of interesting about film noir is film noir is often called the writer's playhouse because the characters are so dense and because their motives are so murky. Now, the original film noirs, pardon me, they were made very inexpensively, and they were sort of a lot of times they could bring in. They were called B movies, as a matter of fact, because they would they would do a lot of experiments. And so in the beginning, they didn't have much light. So what they would do, and part of the sort of signature for film noirs, is water on the streets or water on the floor or whatever. But the reason they did that was because it was so dark, they used the water to get that extra reflection off the light so you could actually see the image. As we came forward, they start to make the neo-noirs. The first one of those was Body Heat. And so you begin to be able to introduce more color, but there's always a sophistication about darkness and light interplay in film noirs. And again, that's another reason why cinematographers want to work on them. This, film noir as a genre is the one that usually brings about the greatest level of sophistication, the greatest sort of sense of in-house knowledge, because it's the subject matter and the technical prowess is so dense.
And there are certain staples. I mean, there's the femme fatale that you mentioned. There's the Patsy, who I think we can figure out from that last scene who it was. And of course, there's the scam. There's the caper, and it's almost ill-fated from the start. But the medium is so tight, it makes you stay with it.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to the film that I had in mind. I go back to the late 50s to this interesting movie called Odds Against Tomorrow, which stars Harry Belafonte, Ed Begley Sr., not Jr., and Robert Ryan, who's a veteran of many cowboy movies. Actually was born here.
Yeah, Chicago guy.
A Chicago guy who plays a racist. And it's set, obviously, contemporary to the times. And what's interesting is that how it uses the conventions of noir, the shadow, the light, the claustrophobia to sort of show a confined, tight world that these three men, who really, two of them don't like each other, have to operate in. Now, in the scene we're going to take a look at now, it features Harry Belafonte in a nightclub, and there's a lot of juicy things there that we can talk about. But essentially, this shows how compressed Belafonte's world is, and what sort of motivates him to participate in the caper that becomes the central part of the movie's theme and plot. So let's check it out now.
At night I tell you people, when that cold, cold sun goes down. At night I tell you people, when that cold, cold sun goes down. I cry, I sigh, I wanna die, 'cause my baby's not around. What's the matter, pretty baby? Tell me, what's your daddy done? Won't you tell me, pretty mama, what's your daddy done? You got to come and hold me for the morning sun.
Hi, baby. What's shaking? Flacco wants to buy you a drink. And I want to buy you a shiny new car. Too bad about Lady Care.
Yeah, they bobbed her nose. Believe me, pretty mama, it's not just me, I know. Believe me, pretty mama, it's not just me, I know. I just can't make that jungle outside of my front door.
Okay, yeah, that's one of my favorite noirs as well.
Oh yeah,
Odds Against Tomorrow, fantastic. Odds, I think, for a variety of reasons, is one of the noirs that's overlooked, even though it it stems from his sort of noirish origins in ways that are pure. Harry Belafonte had a little bit of success playing some roles before that, but he was tired of he was tired of being a second banana, and so he said, "Look, I want to come up with a film and surround myself with some other people that are pretty good, but I want to make a film where I'm like the leading man and I get to handle some business." So they like, "Nah, we'll let you do that if you sing, but if you want to act, then it's not gonna happen." So he actually was able to he sort of commissioned making his own film. All of that aside, I still think that part of the reason that it's so overlooked is because it was such a devastating look at race relations at the time, which tend to not be popular. And Harry Belafonte's character was, he was off the chains for that time. You didn't see black men walking around with that kind of swagger, and I think it makes sense that he would be a jazz musician during that era, because the jazz musicians very often had another level of freedom. Did you see the suits those brothers were wearing?
Oh yeah, the suits are bad, man. I mean, and that entire scene, if you wish you could play the whole thing, because it's a sort of a panorama of black talent during the day. I mean, if you look real closely, the hat check girl, as the mobsters come in, is Diana Sands. She doesn't have a speaking role. Cicely Tyson plays like a bar girl a little bit later in the scene. Robert Earl Jones, James Earl Jones's father, is a club bouncer who, in a later scene in this, gives him a gun. Yeah. Carmen de Lavalade, celebrated dancer, plays his love interest in this one scene. And of course, there's Richard Bright, who's the flirty mobster who comes up to him at the xylophones. Richard Bright, very flirty, wants to buy him a car. Richard Bright, you might know if you like The Godfather, is actually Al Neary, Michael's enforcer in The Godfather. The score of that movie is by the Modern Jazz Quartet, so it's really Milt Jackson playing the vibe. Well, no, actually, I take that back. Harry Belafonte is playing the vibes.
Yeah, he can play
live there, but Milt Jackson handles the some of the work in the score of the film. But really is great. Really is a great film.
That was also the first film that was edited by Dee Dee Allen.
Ah.
Yeah, they actually went back, when...
Who's a celebrated editor, who's any
fantastic.
movie of any import she's touched. Yeah.
She has. And in this was the first film that the shot cut showed up into, and the shot cut is when you talk about something that's going to happen and then you cut immediately to what that thing is. At the time, it felt like it was too disorienting, but it was Harry's movie, so he allowed her to pull it. In the previous, a couple of seconds ago, Robert Ryan had said, you didn't say nothing about the other man being a nigger, and then they shot cut to a huge close up of Harry Belafonte's leaning over the xylophones as he plays him. So. Again, another movie, innovative, like a lot of the B movies of that time were. They gave people opportunities that didn't always get them, and sometimes, some of those movies are bad or are flawed. But this one is a masterpiece that's just it doesn't get enough credit.
It really is, and it has literally a bang up ending in many respects. Yes. Speaking of ending, we've reached the time for ours. So join us next time when we talk about comedy. So until then, I'm Lee Bay.
I'm Von Monroe.
Keep it real.